Hi, honey. Work, work, work. What does it get you? Someday I'm going to quit.
Dad, what's the matter?
Oh, it's that Morton deal. You give it on this point and you give it on that point. And then old man Honeywell needles me because the deal isn't going the way he'd handle it. Well, let Mr. Honeywell handle it. I ought to quit.
I've seen you come home like this for the last time. You're going to quit.
That's all I've been waiting for is your approval. I'm going to call that old slave driver right now and tell him that I am through.
Dad, this is wonderful. Let him have it good.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Hello? Mr. Honeywell, please. Thanks. Hello? Mr. Honeywell? This is Vern Albright. What do I want? I'll tell you what I want. I want... Well, Well, Mr. Honeywell, I just wanted to tell you that I'll be over at the office tomorrow morning and work on that Morton deal. Thanks. Goodbye. Mr. Honeywell's been having a lot of trouble with indigestion lately, and I didn't want to quit and upset him when he isn't feeling well. What's for dinner?
Dad, you lost your nerve.
Lost my nerve? Not at all. I just took pity on the poor old guy. Oh, what's for dinner?
Dad, why don't you quit? You've got enough money. You don't have to work.
Oh, why did I open my mouth?
Margie!
Come in, Freddie.
Oh, don't tell me the king of unemployment is dining with us again tonight.
Now, don't change the subject. You've worked hard all your life. Why don't you quit? Enjoy yourself.
Hi, Margie. Hi, Mr. Albright.
I'm trying to convince Dad he should retire.
Gee, that sounds great. Wish I was in a position to retire.
You retired the day you left high school.
Dad, think how nice it would be. Getting up as late as you like, oiling your shotgun, cleaning your fishing equipment, playing golf any time of any day you chose.
Oh, why did I say anything? I am not going to retire. What are you trying to do? Make a potential hobo out of me like a certain person whose name I won't mention?
That did it. Mr. Albright, I've had just about enough of your insults.
Yeah? So?
Well, I meant I've had enough of this type insult. I was just going to suggest you try a new type insult, sir.
Every year you promise me you'll retire, but you don't. You're not a young man. I don't want you to work too long.
Yeah, you're getting kind of rickety.
Getting kind of what?
Dad, he didn't mean anything by it. Okay, we'll forget about retiring. I won't say another word about it, I promise.
Well, thank goodness. Now let's eat.
Dad?
Yes?
Why won't you retire?
Good morning, Mr. Honeywell. Another attack?
Nothing serious, just the old indigestion.
Morning, Mr. Albright. Honeywell?
Good morning, Mr. Morton.
Morning, Mr. Morton. Sit right here.
We have your account pretty well straightened out. And now, if you'll excuse me for a second, I think Mr. Honeywell needs a little old-fashioned Dutch uncle talking to. Mr. Honeywell, you may be my boss, but I insist that you see a doctor.
What's wrong with him?
Nothing. Just a little indigestion. Now, let's get busy with Mr. Morton's account.
Mr. Honeywell, you're going to see a doctor, and that's an order.
You're living a little dangerously this morning, aren't you?
Frankly, Mr. Honeywell, I'm more than a little concerned about this. When I die, I want to be sure that my children have good, sound financial advice. And you told me yourself that you were the backbone of this company.
Just what are you driving at, Mr. Morton?
Oh, please sit down, Mr. Honeywell, and take it easy.
Take your hands off of me.
I'm going to be blunt, Honeywell. I didn't know about your physical condition, and I appreciate all the effort that you put into preparing my account. But in the interest of my children, I think I better find a company with a little more youth at the top.
Now, just a minute, Mr. Morton.
Oh, really? There's probably nothing too seriously wrong with Mr. Honeywell.
Sorry, gentlemen. I've always made quick decisions and find they pay off. Thanks for everything. Goodbye.
Do you know what you and your big mouth have just done?
I was only thinking of your health, Mr. Honeywell. I didn't know he'd take it the way he did.
You lunkhead. Why don't you mind your own business?
So this is the kind of thanks I get for building this company into what it is today. Well, okay, Mr. Honeywell. I've taken this kind of guff long enough. Betty, I was just going to call you. Make out my check and mail it to me.
All right, make out his check and take out plenty of tax.
Now I'm going to oil my shotgun, clean my fishing equipment, and play golf whenever I want. In short,
I quit. You walk out that door and you'll never walk back in.
I didn't realize until last night just how nice retiring would be. But Margie talked me into it. And now for a nice life of relaxation and doing what I want. Goodbye, Georgie boy.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Odetts.
I could hardly sleep last night thinking how wonderful it is about your father retiring. What's he doing on his first day as a gentleman of leisure?
He's still in bed. Oh, I'm so happy for him.
Margie!
What's the matter?
Look at the time. Why didn't you wake me? I'm late for work. No time for breakfast.
Dad, just a second.
I haven't got time.
You don't have to go to work today, don't you remember?
Oh, for crying out loud.
Mr. Albright, you're just like the old fire horse. They turn him out to pasture, but every time he hears the bell, he tries to jump the fence.
That's just about it, I guess.
There was a fireman in my life once. I didn't know how I was going to get to meet him.
Please, Mrs. Odetts, none of your little stories on Dad's first day off.
Finally met him, though, when a fire broke out in my house. I can still feel his strong arms as he carried me down the ladder, and the strange way he eyed the matches in my hand. But they never were able to prove a thing.
Well, Dad, what are you going to do today?
Well, I'd like to have breakfast. I've always wanted to have breakfast at this time. And what would I like to do most? I'd like to play golf. I'll call one of my pals.
Well, you can call from the table. Come on.
Hello, Ed Jensen? Hi, boy. Vern. Say, how'd you like to get massacred in 18 holes this morning? Oh, no. Your Uncle Walter. I didn't know. Yes, I know what you mean. I hate funerals, too. How'd it happen? Oh, he retired 2 months ago. Well, the doctor said the inactivity was probably to blame. My condolences. Goodbye, Ed. I just retired yesterday. Don't have to work anymore. My name is Vern Albright.
No. My name is Hernsworth. I retired 2 years ago.
Wonderful, isn't it?
Wonderful? Huh. Frankly, I'm bored stiff. How long do you think you can feed the pigeons before you become bird happy?
This is fun. No boss, no work, nothing to do but relax.
Fine. First you just feed 'em. Then you get to know each one by name. Then it starts to get you.
What do you mean?
You start to coo, too.
Coo?
After a while, you learn their language. You realize you're as much a part of the park as the pigeons. Hear that cooing? Want me to translate it for you? Norman just said, throw some more popcorn. Throw some more popcorn.
You feed Norman. Well, Freddie, my boy.
Did I imagine it, or did you talk real nice and friendly to me on the phone, Mr. Albright?
Mr. Albright, call me just plain Vern.
Okay, just plain Vern. What's up?
Well, Freddie, I've retired. Quit. Called at least 10 fellas today and asked them to play golf, but they're all working. Then I went to the park. Very boring.
Yeah, Margie told me you retired. But what do you want from me, Mr. Albright?
Call me Vern.
Sure, Mr. Albright.
I said call me Vern.
Okay, Vern. Something I can do for you?
Well, I'll tell you, Freddie, it's like this. You're the only other person that I know that isn't working. And as an old expert at it, I want you to tell me what one does when one isn't working.
Oh, I see. Well, Vern, you certainly came to the right man. I've got it down to a system. What's today?
Wednesday. Why?
Wednesday. Okay. Here we are, Wednesday. Hey, you'll enjoy this. It's only 5 minutes from here, and I'll point out all the fellas to you. Come on. That's Eddie running the steam shovel. Hi, Eddie.
This is what you do on Wednesdays?
Exciting, isn't it? Oh, there it goes. Yeah, Vern?
This isn't fair, Freddie.
Huh? What isn't fair?
Oh, it isn't fair to Mr. Honeywell. He's probably called by now wanting me to come back to work. I'd better get home and find out how he apologized. I'll see you later.
Oh, sure. Okay, Vern.
And forget that Vern routine.
Yes, Mr. Albright.
Where have you been?
Well, I've been to the park, and I watched some men working on construction. It's very entertaining.
Oh, I'm glad you're having fun for once in your life.
Fun? There's nothing like it. Well, what'd he say?
Hmm? What did who say?
Oh, stop teasing. What did Mr. Honeywell say when he called?
Mr. Honeywell? Was he supposed to call?
Well, didn't he?
No. Why?
Oh, nothing. I just thought he might have called to beg me to come back to work.
Dad, you don't mean you want to go back to work?
Oh, are you kidding? I'm having the time of my life.
You had me worried for a minute.
Didn't Mr. Honeywell even make one little call? Well, maybe the phone rang and you didn't get to it quick enough. Well, I'm glad he didn't, because if he did, I'd sure tell that old tyrant what I thought of him. You know, I haven't touched my shotgun or my fishing equipment. I think I'll do that right now. Call me when dinner's ready.
Okay, Dad.
Oh, I'm going to oil my shotgun, shotgun.
He says he's oiled it so many times he doesn't think it'll shoot. It'll just squirt.
What about his fishing equipment?
Well, this morning I found him tying knots in the tackle just so he could untie them later. Mrs. Odetts, he's bored to death.
Honey, the solution is very simple. Just tell him to call Mr. Honeywell and apologize. Mr. Honeywell will welcome him back.
Are you kidding? Dad's as stubborn as Mr. Honeywell. He'd never call first.
Don't think so, huh? Margie, you said your father was quite worried about Mr. Honeywell's health.
You mean if Dad thought Mr. Honeywell were on his last legs?
He might. How are you going to do it?
Did you bring it? Right in here. But your phone call didn't make much sense. Betty, you said Mr. Honeywell seems as miserable as my father, right? Okay, all you have to do is get my father to think Mr. Honeywell is really sick. Then Dad's soft heart will do the rest. Oh, Betty, you've never seen such an unhappy man. Come on in. I'll get it, Dad.
All right, dear.
Well, Betty, what are you doing here?
Hello, Margie. Your father left his...
He's in his bedroom. Louder.
Hello, Margie. Your father left his pen and pencil set at the office, and I brought it over on my way back from lunch.
Oh, fine, Betty.
Oh, hello, Betty. I just cleaned my shotgun for the 50th time. Mr. Honeywell sent you to ask me to come back. Well, I'll have to think it over.
No, Mr. Albright. You left these at the office, and I thought you'd like them.
You mean Mr. Honeywell didn't? Oh, thanks, Betty. Thanks a lot.
Please, Mr. Albright, don't mention Mr. Honeywell.
Well, why not?
After your talk with him, he decided to see the doctor. And, oh, Mr. Albright.
And what, Betty?
He's got a word.
The word?
He may have 3 months, maybe 6. And he's so brave. Carrying on at the office as usual. Doesn't even want to talk about it.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Poor Mr. Honeywell. I treated him so badly.
Well, Dad, there's nothing you can do now.
How can you say that? Of course there's something I can do. I can go to the office and eat humble pie. Oh, Mr. Honeywell was the best friend I ever had. Oh, Betty, please don't say anything.
I won't, Mr. Albright. Goodbye. Goodbye, Margie.
Oh, thanks, Betty. Thanks for telling me.
Oh!
Mr. Honeywell needs me. He needs me.
But, Dad, you've retired.
I can retire after Mr. Honeywell goes to that big investment corporation up there.
Come in, Mr. Morgan. Come in. Sit right down here.
Thank you.
I'm glad I was able to talk you into reconsidering.
Well, if you're sure your health is all right, Mr. Honeywell.
I guarantee you that was only an idea of my ex-employee, all in his head.
Mr. Honeywell, sit down here and relax.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Mr. Honeywell, I'm to blame. I apologize. I am your friend. I know everything.
What?
Oh, Mr. Honeywell, please.
Say, what the sandhill are you gibbering about?
We won't talk about it. Oh, please be kind to him, Mr. Morton. And then one day soon, he'll smile down on us from up there.
Mr. Albright, are you trying to tell me that Mr. Honeywell is really ill?
Mr. Morton, this guy is off his rocker. I'm as solid as granite.
Oh, poor old fellow. It may come any second.
I see. Sorry, sir. Goodbye.
But, Mr. Morton, I give you my word. There's nothing wrong with me.
Of course not. Goodbye, Mr. Honeywell.
Now, you see what you've done then for the second time.
Oh, Mr. Honeywell, say whatever you want to, but don't forget, I am your friend. I know all.
All what?
All about the report, your visit to the doctor.
All right, I got news for you. I haven't been to any doctor.
But I thought, you haven't been to a doctor?
No.
Well, but Betty, Betty said...
Your daughter promised me nothing would go wrong. She said it was all for the best interest of everyone concerned.
Margie made it all up? You mean you're not going to die?
Get out of here.
All right, Georgie boy.
And cut that out, too.
I want you to know I've never been so happy in my life. I've been oiling my guns, cleaning my fishing equipment, feeding the pigeons, calling fellows about golf. Well, I've been having a wonderful time. And if you ever want me back, there's only one way I'll come. You call me and apologize.
Yes, you go oil a pigeon.
I've got it. I saw it in a movie. Get someone to impersonate your father, then someone to impersonate Mr. Honeywell. Then they'll each think the other apologized.
Well, that's swell for the movies, but not for... Hey, wait a minute. Each one calls the other. Yeah. Hand me the phone book. Are you sure it'll work, Mr. Connor?
It's a cinch, Margie. Miss Albright.
Well, you can call me Margie.
Well, Margie, if you just ask your dad and this Mr. Honeywell the right questions to get the right words for me, it'll work perfectly.
Well, what's all this hocus-pocus you've been doing since I've been here?
A little demonstration. All set, and now I'll show you. Remember some of those silly questions I asked you? For example, when I said, how about see me tonight, and you said, I already have a date?
But I really have, with Freddie Wilson.
So I heard. But you see, Margie, I was just getting certain words in this mic here. Then I took the tape and cut out just the words I wanted, which is what I'll do with the words of your father and Mr. Honeywell. Now remember, you said all these words, only they weren't assembled the same way.
My name is Margie Albright.
How about a date?
I'm not busy tonight.
Swell. What time?
8 o'clock. But I said 8 o'clock after you asked that silly question about what comes after 7 o'clock.
Amazing, huh? Now all you have to do is to get the words from your father and Mr. Honeywell for me. I'll do the editing. Did you put the microphone where I told you?
Right inside the vase of flowers on his desk.
Miss Albright, someone's coming. It's he. It's Mr. Honeywell.
Okay. Wow, Margie.
Hi, Mr. Honeywell. I know how you feel about Dad, but you and I are still friends, aren't we?
Of course. Why?
Well, since Dad's not working, I've gotten myself a job taking sort of a census. Now, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Ooh, what beautiful flowers. Now then, question number 1. What's my father's first name?
That's ridiculous. You know his name is Vern.
That's the word I needed. All set?
Just get the words the way you did with Mr. Honeywell. And keep him on the bed. The microphone's by the headboard.
Okay.
Gee, this is fun. Fun? Oh, hi, honey.
Hi, Dad. Would you face this way, please?
Huh?
I'd like to ask you a few toward-the-headboard silly questions.
Pardon?
First, Dad, what's the 9-letter word meaning I'm sorry?
Oh, you're doing a crossword puzzle. Well, the word you want is apologize.
That's exactly the word I wanted. Now then.
Hello?
Hello, this is Vern Albright. Now, don't say anything, just listen. I'm calling to apologize. If you don't ever mention it again, I won't. Is that okay?
Certainly, Vern. Has good understanding between us, good relationship. We'll never mention it again.
Thanks, Mr. Honeywell. Mighty big of you. Well, see you at the office in the morning, okay?
Okay, all right.
Goodbye, Mr. Honeywell, and thanks again.
Bye, my boy.
Carl, that was wonderful. Just perfect. Now for my father.
Hello?
Hello, Vern. This is Mr. Honeywell. I'm calling to apologize, and if you don't ever mention it again...
Hi, Betty. I understand my dad and Mr. Honeywell are getting along just fine.
I don't understand it. It's just as if nothing ever happened.
Oh, hello, Margie. Mrs. Odetts.
Hi, Mr. Honeywell.
How are you, Hoydy?
Now, Mrs. Odetts, if you please. Margie, did you know your dad came back to work?
Yeah, so I heard.
Well, I just wanted you to know how it happened. Of course, we'll never mention it to your dad. But he called me and apologized.
No. Really?
I guess we know who's the head cheese around here.
Hi, Dad. How's it going?
Hi, honey. Mrs. Odetts? Oh, it's wonderful. Of course, I'm looking forward to the time when I can really retire. But when Mr. Honeywell called, well, we won't mention this, but when he called and apologized, that made up my mind for me. But I want you to understand one very important thing. He called me. I didn't call him.
I guess we know who's the cheesehead around here.
Well, Dad, let's celebrate tonight. Dinner first, then a show, take in a couple of nightclubs.
Sounds like fun. But at the risk of appearing stupid, may I ask one question?
Sure, Dad. Go ahead.
What are we celebrating?
Well, you mean we have to have something specific?
It's customary.
Okay. Let's celebrate the marvels of electronics.
Electronics?
You know, tape recorders and things like that.
Well, that's my little Margie.